While the US was involved in the Cold War with the Soviets, across the sea, closer countries like Hungary and Czechoslovakia were facing conflicts with the Soviets as well. In 1956, Hungary began to develop civil and political unrest caused by encouragement for newfound freedom. Hungary also threatened to leave the Warsaw Pact, which I could never allow, as if they left, a huge gap would be left in my buffer zone. So the Soviets obviously didn't like Nagy's decision, and we weren't going to back down, ultimately leading to many Hungarians, including myself, beginning to protest, and many becoming violent, demanding the de-Stalinization of our country.
These acts were part of our reformist movement known as the Hungarian Uprising. This successfully got Stalin's attention, and he was bound to do something about it.
The uprising created a large threat to my country and our communist views, so we responded in the most efficient way we could think of that would secure the safety of my country.
Stalin ordered his troops into Hungary's capital to forcefully put the protests to an end. Soviet troops also arrested all the revolution leaders.
Unfortunately, the revolution failed. Stalin got his ways and installed the puppet regime, meaning Hungary now had less freedom. The Soviet government now had total control of my government.
Not only was our country under stricter control, but our fight against the Soviet Red Army resulted in the deaths or injuries of thousands of people and caused many Hungarian citizens to flee from their homes. This was not the only time something like this happened. Fast forward to 1968.
Czechoslovakia is becoming a threat to the USSR. Their new leader is spreading new ideas and false hope for freedom.
Pause here. Let's go back a few years to 1956 for a little background information. In 1956, Stalinist Matthias Rákosi was replaced by me, Alexander Dubek. Don't get me wrong, I am a communist leader, but I have slightly different views. I advocate for socialism with a human face, meaning citizens should have more freedom than they do. This short period of time was known as Prague Springs. Also, I should mention, while ruling, we almost included a new Democratic Party to run against communists. Anyways, back to Stalin.
As I was saying, Dubek, no matter what he claims to support, he has changed the people's views and now they are spreading liberal ideas around my communist country. This is a dangerous thing because if these views spread into other Eastern European countries, it could cause instability and threaten our security. So, of course something had to be done. After all, I can't let all my hard work go to waste.
When the Soviets became suspicious of the changes occurring in Czechoslovakia, they sent 5,000 tanks and 200,000 Warsaw Pact troops to end these new ideas and remove Dubek from power.
Even though I did nothing wrong, I was forced out of power and replaced by Gustav Husik, a strict communist leader. And Stalin even went as far as creating the Brezhnev Doctrine to keep retaliation from happening again.
Dubek is right. After being replaced, it was important that there would be a way to stop opposition to the Soviet rule. So, the Communist Party created the Brezhnev Doctrine. The Brezhnev Doctrine was a foreign policy that called on Soviet forces wherever the socialist rule was threatened, like in these past situations. Speaking of these situations, aren't they very similar?
Yeah, they kind of are. For instance, both of these revolutions were between the USSR and an Eastern European country that's under Soviet control. Also, both of these revolutions failed after Soviet troops invaded the countries.
But they were still kind of different. Like, Hungary wanted complete de-Stalinization, while the Czechs were only becoming open to a new version of communism proposed by Alexander Dubček, giving them more freedom. Furthermore, one of the main reasons for the Hungarian uprising was because Hungary was threatened to leave the Warsaw Pact, which the Czechs had no interest in doing.
Also, you want to remember that each country was led by a different historical figure. Hungary was led by Imre Nagy, the USSR by Stalin, and Czechoslovakia by me, Alexander Dubek. And don't forget that the difference between the invasions is that Hungary was invaded by the Soviet Red Army, while my country was invaded by tanks and Warsaw Pact troops.
Now that you have all the information, let's finish this off with a quick recap. The Hungarian Uprising in 1956 was a movement to get rid of communism, which failed. In 1968, a similar thing happened in Czechoslovakia when they made changes to their government system, leading to the Soviet invasion to restore Soviet rule. The short period of time when Dubek attempted to grant more rights to the citizens is known as Prague Springs.